Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for watching. Tonight, customers left in a lurch after paying for items never delivered. Plus, another death sentence issued in Iran. We'll bring you the latest as the anti-government protests continue. Have you heard of ChatGPT? Some students are using it, but we'll explain why caution is wise. And an abandoned rail line is about to be transformed for the public. We begin tonight with a warning from the Better Business Bureau. A Windsor company billed as Canada's largest cooking store has left customers feeling burnt.
A lot of consumers that have been left in the lurch, they've taken people's money, they haven't delivered the product, but they're still actively taking orders.
Renu Bakshi bought a coffee maker from the Cook store. It's an online retailer with a warehouse in Windsor. Bakshi called the company before making her purchase to talk about the return policy. She talked to an employee and later made her purchase, and that was November.
A few weeks later, I emailed the Cook store, and Chloe again responded and said sorry that they were having some supply chain issues and that they were about 3 weeks behind. So I said, great. I mean, that's something that's been happening all across the board. So 3 weeks went by, 4 weeks went by, and then before you know it, 3 months went by, and I still had nothing. So I emailed, and they were now no longer responsive. I phoned, and the Cook store's voicemail is full. So there's no way, and nobody's responding, and there's no other way to get a hold of them.
And she's not alone. Dozens of complaints have been posted online. We tried to reach the owners, but they did not respond. When we knocked on the door, no one answered. But the company next door talked to us about what they've seen. Dozens of people showing up at the Cook store warehouse looking for answers.
We totally understand where they're coming from, and the few times I personally have answered the door to people coming in, especially on weekends, it's been heartbreaking because some of these people have spent their hard-earned money, and some of these were Christmas gifts that I learned of, and they were pretty upset and left with zero answers.
He's told people to submit complaints to the Better Business Bureau. And this month, the Bureau revoked the company's accreditation. It's given the Cook store an F rating. That's after more than 90 customer complaints have gone unsolved since December. Here's what you should do if you've bought something online that hasn't made it to your doorstep.
If you're caught in something like this, where you have placed orders for goods and you're not getting any response from the business, and you haven't received any goods or a refund, our advice to consumers right now who might be experiencing similar issues, whether with this company or any other company, is to contact either your credit card company or PayPal, which is generally the way that you would have purchased goods online, to file a dispute and to inquire about whether you have any insurance attached to your payment method, and follow up and see if you can do a claim through that platform.
A prayer vigil was held in Windsor today. Members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community gathered to condemn an attack on a mosque in West Africa earlier this month. CBC News has not been able to confirm the details of the attack, but according to local reports, 9 people were killed during evening prayers at a mosque in Burkina Faso last week. Locals say that the imam was one of the people killed. These vigils are happening across Canada.
This is something that is very sad for the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, especially locally here. We're an international family. We span over 200 countries across the world. This was something that was very hard for us to swallow. Members are grieving at the moment, going through a very difficult time. We want to thank all members across Windsor, the Windsor community, Windsor Essex community, for the kind words and the words of condolences that they have come out. It means a lot. And it gives us a sense how closely knitted we are as a region and as a community. We have reached out to a lot of figures within the community and members within the community, and they are writing to the Canadian government. And we have had a very good response from various politicians and dignitaries across the region. They are also concerned. This is something that is not new within the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. We are a persecuted community, and we were fortunate that we found a country like Canada to call our home. So it's always refreshing, and it's always something that is taken under a good gesture that we have that support.
We've shown you the protests in Windsor demonstrating against the Iranian government. News emerged yesterday of yet another death sentence being issued in Iran in connection with the anti-government protests. Rights activists say scores could soon be under the same shadow, and they say the aim is to stifle the protests. Sasha Petrusik looks at the impact so far.
Outside Tehran, an angry crowd gathers as two men are hanged just behind the prison walls. This is injustice, yells the mother of one of those hanged. In all, at least 4 protesters have been executed, all of these men in their 20s, paraded by the regime in televised trials. More than 100 others have also been sentenced to death by an Islamic leadership determined to hit back at 4 months of nationwide protests. They were triggered by anger over Iran's strict laws forcing women to wear hijabs. But it quickly turned into a demand for regime change. The answer from Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei: those who set fire to public places have committed treason. But instead of deterring, that threat seems to have infuriated.
I think people readily are willing to die for justice and are ready to die for liberation and freedom. And I think executions do have a very effective chilling sort of effect on the community, but I don't think that it's going to be an end-all.
On the streets of Iran, there may be fewer protests, though internet censorship makes it hard to know for sure. But despite potential penalties, more women have taken off their hijabs.
I have anxiety. I'm nervous about it because I want to be free. I want to live a normal life.
It is a battle of wills right now.
The standoff is bound to continue, says Iranian-born Ali Vayez.
There is now a unified sense, much more than at any point in the past 43 years, that there is a need for fundamental changes and an overthrow of the Islamic Republic.
But he says the struggle will likely be long, with many more protests and executions. Sasha Petrusik, CBC News, Toronto.
A shift in tone here now. We want to show you what will likely be the final piece of a trail system linking Windsor-Essex to the Trans-Canada Trail. The Essex Region Conservation Authority has finally acquired a section of the former Canada Southern Railway, known as the CASO, in Essex County. The CBC's Dale Molnar reports.
It's not just about having recreational trail opportunities. It's a very utilitarian corridor dissecting all those major water courses.
IRCA CAO Tim Burney says it took several years to acquire the former rail line from Via Rail, but they finally came to an agreement in December. The 47 kilometers of rail cut, seen here in red, will now link all the current trails in Essex County and hook Essex County up with the Trans-Canada Trail that now ends in Tilbury. It cost $2 million to acquire the property. $1 million came from federal climate change money, and the other from IRCA's former Clean Water Green Spaces Fund, and the municipalities the line runs through. Burney says the land will have a number of uses, such as giving access to utilities, and it gives IRCA access to waterways in the county.
It provides for us a very utilitarian access point to get to any of these locations in the event of flooding or any event of low water response if it's required.
The trail will start in Windsor and pass through Tecumseh, Essex, and Lakeshore. Part of the trail that passes through Essex is already a park and has washroom facilities and a parking lot. So Essex Mayor Sherry Bondi sees the trail as an opportunity to attract tourism.
People can come here, they can park, they can bring their bikes, their families, their wagons, their children, walk down there, come back to the town of Essex, have lunch, have dinner, shop here. And it's just really another great feature that we're proud to work together in collaboration with IRCA, other municipalities, and the federal government.
IRCA will be meeting with officials from the towns to find out what they want to see developed on the trail. It will also be doing fundraising and looking for donations to complete the work necessary. IRCA still has a lot of work to do on the trail to make it usable for the public. There's no cost estimate on that just yet, but it's likely to take 5 to 10 years. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Essex.
There's been a lot of focus on healthcare this week. Now the federal government says it's getting closer to a deal with the provinces and territories on healthcare. Premiers have been demanding Ottawa increase its share of healthcare spending. As Tom Perry reports, the federal health minister says talks are making progress.
Making strides toward a new deal on healthcare.
There has been significant progress over the last few weeks. I'm positive and optimistic, as the Prime Minister is also.
The federal government signaling an agreement with the provinces and territories could be close.
That's because we have seen a shift towards a focus on what matters to Canadians, which are results for patients and healthcare workers.
Ottawa and the premiers have been haggling over health care for years. Provinces and territories demanding more money, Ottawa pressing for conditions to make sure any new cash goes toward improving the system. Now, what looks like a breakthrough, with New Brunswick Premier Blaine Higgs pointing to one big factor.
Public opinion. I would say that the public are expecting a better healthcare system in our respective provinces. They're expecting, given what we've gone through with the pandemic and what we're seeing, every hospital strained with being able to provide services and personnel. I think they're expecting that, if we're putting more money in the system, we have to see results as a result of that.
Higgs hopes to see a deal by February. The goal, a multi-year agreement to boost spending and better track healthcare dollars. For all the encouraging words, though, Ontario Premier Doug Ford was today sounding cautious.
I always consult with 12 other premiers on this, and it's not going to be a one-off for Ontario, another for someone else. We've all agreed, all the premiers, we all have to work together and stay united, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
The premiers may not get all they want from the federal government, but a deal could put an end to a long simmering political feud and hopefully ease the strain on a healthcare system that looks like it's stretched to the limit. Tom Perry, CBC News, Ottawa.
He calls himself doctor, and this Canadian claims to cure and treat cancer and a variety of other ailments. But many of his former followers say he misled them for profit. CBC Marketplace went undercover at Daryl Wolf's operation in Mexico. Now, a preview of what they found and a warning: this footage might look and sound disturbing.
They gotta stop squirming. Gotta stop squirming.
Inside a tent at a budget resort in Mexico, this is touted as treatment on a healing fracture.
Oh, I don't know if I can do anymore. Piece is breaking.
Treatment targeting the desperate, often with a big price tag.
Look it up. Crap. Look at this now.
The Canadian running this operation is Daryl Wolf, who claims cures for just about anything.
We can shut cancer down in one treatment.
I got rid of leukemia in 6 weeks. Untraceable.
It's not the first time he's made bold claims.
All my clients have HIV.
In 1994, we busted him for selling a fake AIDS cure.
Hi, Mr. Wolf.
Though he claimed he wasn't, he shut down the clinic and later moved his operation to Mexico, where hundreds traveled to meet him in the hopes of being saved. What did he promise you about Mexico?
He said that he had worked with this. He's worked with breast cancer.
Nancy Jacobs wanted alternative treatment. She says she spent $13,000 with Wolf. It didn't help.
Total regret ever going there. How could I be so foolish?
Nancy Jacobs died shortly after this interview.
Mr. Wolf, David Common with CBC Marketplace. How are you today?
We caught up with Daryl Wolf when he returned to Canada.
No, there are many claims that you've made about being able to cure cancer and a number of. We've recorded you. We've recorded you doing that. What do you say to those people who've died after spending thousands of dollars, sir?
There's nobody that has with us.
After our investigation, YouTube removed many of Wolf's videos. Facebook launched a review. But he continues to operate in Mexico, drawing in clients and dollars. David Common, CBC News, Ixtapa, Mexico.
And you can watch that full investigation tonight at 8 p.m. on CBC TV or CBC Gem. Have you heard of that ChatGPT program? It's this powerful version of artificial intelligence. You type in a prompt, it spits out an answer, and that prompt could be a math question, but calculators can do that. But what makes this thing interesting is that you can ask it to write entire essays, and it sends back impressive responses. We asked university students if they've used it.
Again, I don't really know how it produces, the answers it produces, or if it's even accurate information. So that's kind of why I stayed away from it. But I know it's primarily used for school.
I've never used it or looked into it, so I'm not too sure what it does.
I have not yet, but I don't know much about it, as I said, so I think I will be using it. But obviously, I like to think that taking your own approach to to learning is better than actually using a software.
Yeah, use it for fun, and ask it various questions to it. One of the questions that I asked it was, can they see us? Because a lot of people were talking about how it can track the users. So I just randomly asked it about it, and they said no, they don't. They can't see us yet, but maybe in the future they can.
I think I asked it a question about a car. I don't know, I remember I asked something about a car and it answered it, and that was pretty cool.
I've used it, for example, if I wanted to check if my program, when I'm, for example, making a code, if it's correct, if it's giving me the same outcome, but it's usually for personal projects, nothing to do with school.
Nick Baker is the director of open learning at U Windsor. He says it's not something the university will ban. Instead, he sees this as something that could help students learn about the shortcomings of artificial intelligence.
We think that there's a lot to learn at this point. There is no way that a technology is going to be able to catch people who are using this system at this point. And that's frankly an arms race that we're going to lose if we think we're going down that path. Banning it is also not either possible or appropriate, because AI is built into so many things that are around us now. And this one just happened to catch lots of people's attention, but it's really just one of a suite of tools that are out there that can do very similar things. So what we should be doing is thinking of it as another tool that students need to learn about to be digitally proficient, to be able to work and live in an environment where they're connected to data and information all the time, and how to take that information and understand whether it's correct or not.
A live look outside there at the Ambassador Bridge. We do have a chance of flurries for this evening, with temperatures dropping to -6. And then we're looking at a very cloudy weekend ahead. We'll have your weather forecast right after the break. Stay with us. Kim McDonald joins us for a look at our local weather forecast now. Kim, it's been gray all week, and it looks like that's set to continue.
It is. You know, I'm going to try to find some silver lining with this. Okay. One is that Blue Monday is over. Goodbye. And we've already had the shortest day of the year. So if I'm going to bring you some gloomy weather, I want to spin it so it's a little bit on the positive side. We are going to be in for some colder weather, though. That's what we need to know. Our Saturday, not bad. So we're dealing with still a little bit of leftover flurry activity thanks to that trough that's been in the region for a while now. Through the evening hours, temperatures mild, 1 degree. Yes, cloudy, a few flurries. For the overnight, temperatures drop down to around -4. Our normal daytime high is -1, so that's not bad. And we're right now in the coldest week of the year traditionally. So beyond this week, our normal daytime highs start to just inch up a little bit, which is nice. Forecast high is 0 for Saturday. So these are those lingering flurries. We can see them coming through the overnight. Saturday, we get a nice little break. The morning hours, you have your better chance of seeing just a little bit of sun before the clouds roll in again. This is Sunday, and that is snow. Yes, my friends, we're in for a little more snow in this forecast. So if you've got plans this weekend, you're out and about, Saturday will certainly be the better day. Here's another look at it. So Saturday morning, pretty clear. The clouds roll in for Saturday evening, and then we have that snow moving in for Sunday afternoon. Right now, it doesn't look like heavy amounts of snow. Temperature-wise, Saturday morning, -4. That's the sun. Yeah, a little sun cloud mix for the morning hours. Saturday afternoon, 0 degrees. We're back to variable clouds again. So again, Saturday, a pretty decent day for January. I mean, we've had it pretty easy despite the lack of sunshine. In the long range forecast, though, we are talking about cold. So there's the Arctic air. It's trapped in the north, but it's starting to slide down for the end of the month and the beginning of February. We'll be using those dreaded words, polar vortex.
Thanks so much for that, Kim. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And when we come back, a Canadian hockey legend is honored. That's right after the break. In Fredericton, there are few names more well-known than local sports hero Willie O'Ree. He's the first Black person to play in the NHL. Recently, he was honored with a life-sized portrait unveiled to mark his first game with the Boston Bruins in 1958. Here's a look.
On the count of three, that'd be great, yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Hi, my name is Tim Okamura. I'm a painter based in Brooklyn, New York, although originally Canadian from Edmonton. You know, the Willie O'Ree portrait is really the culmination of the two biggest passions probably that I've had in the last 20 years. The first being in my work as a painter, as a portrait artist, representation of people of color, but also I've never stopped being a very hardcore hockey fan. One of the legends in the game, of course, that was at the top of my list for being a builder was Willie O'Ree, the first Black player in the NHL. But she was like, I heard from Karen Gordon from the NHL that you're painting players of color and in this series. And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, I'm working on a documentary about Willie O'Ree. Would you like to paint Willie? And I was like, where, when, tell me. Next thing I know, I'm meeting Willie at his hotel, and in his hotel room, we actually did the pose session that ended up becoming the reference material for the painting. And Willie goes, well, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't know, what do you want to do? He's like, let's go have some beers. So cut to me and Willie O'Ree going down to the hotel bar. I was born in Edmonton. I'm the son of a Japanese internment camp survivor. My mother's from Newfoundland, and they came together under some particularly challenging circumstances. And I think that influence of experiencing a little bit of their cultural backgrounds, you know, combined with me sort of grappling with my own identity as a Japanese Canadian, it just informed my art. Just gut reaction was like, we need to address representation in realistic portraiture, and that's what started me down this path.
There's a long-standing notion that there are two types of people, dog people and cat people. And a woman in Kenya definitely falls into the second category. It's feeding time at the Nairobi Feline Sanctuary, home to somewhere between 400 and 600 cats. It's run by 51-year-old Rachel Kabua in her 4-bedroom home on the outskirts of the Kenyan capital. She's been looking after stray and abandoned cats for nearly 10 years, but formally launched her sanctuary in 2020. It provides food, shelter, and medical care. Fees from boarding and adoption services help fund the sanctuary, but Kabua mainly relies on her family and donations to keep the facility going. That is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for watching. Good night, and have a great weekend.